Hello, everybody. I wish to humbly dedicate this paper to the memory of Marthan Singh, endearingly called Mapu, who had done much for Khadi and who passed away recently. Khadi is not a cloth. Khadi is not a cloth as much as the idol of Lord Venkateshwara is not just a granite stone. The body is only the manifestation of the soul that is invisible but essential. Khadi is a brilliant idea by the father of our nation for self-reliance and spiritual well-being of humanity, which is far beyond the product and beyond attainment of political freedom. Khadi is a symbol. Like long hair represented artists and poets, Khadi represented a value of the wearer. A symbol is beyond the real and enormously more powerful than the real. Khadi was deemed as a symbol of self-reliance, Swadeshi, and non-violence, Ahimsa, when it was promoted and practiced by Mahatma Gandhi. But it was not mere empty symbol for the Mahatma. Because symbols change their meaning automatically as per the actual realization. With time, after independence, people at various levels of Indian society started wearing khadi just for its symbolic expression. But often they indulged in violences such as corruption, autocracy, inequality, and so on, which changed the meaning totally. Khadi and Gandhi cap soon derogated and started to mean corrupt politicians. Gandhiji was very particular about the credibility of a symbol. His actions spoke louder than his words. He was unacknowledged genius of semiotics. Once an old woman requested him to instruct her son not to eat sugar because he had reverence for Gandhi and would follow his saying. Gandhi kept on postponing. What is the reason? He did not want to talk to the child till he himself stopped eating sugar. There is something of far deeper meaning about khadi than the superficial aspect of a hand-spun, hand-woven cloth, the product. And that deeper meaning is the process which is beyond the product. Let us look at an instance which happened in Mahatma's life. In the 40s, when the world recognized the genius of a little man who shook the mighty colonial empire and made them free India, the world's top magazine Life thought it was imperative to publish cover story on this man. Life sent their best photographer, Margaret Bourke-White, to Wardha Ashram with her top-notch camera equipment. She was shown to Gandhi, who was sweeping the floor then, to her great shock. Even greater shock awaited her. Gandhi politely yet firmly refused to be photographed by her because she did not understand him. First time in her life, she was told that one must understand the subject before one expresses it on a canvas or film. How can I understand you? She asked. Gandhiji put the broom in her hand, saying, by doing what I am doing. The rest is, as they say, history. Bourke-White went on to produce the greatest photograph of Gandhi, which appeared on cover page of Life. But more importantly, it changed the life of Bourke-White forever. Burkwhite became a Gandhian to stay all her life as a Gandhian. This is precisely the process behind the product and its life-changing power. People tend to ignore this essential process and stick only to the superficial product, like licking the coconut outside without taking the trouble to break it. What is the process behind every khadi cloth that is produced? I spent my childhood in a tiny village in Srikakulam district, not far from Ponduru, known for its khadi production. Rita Kapoor Chisti describes the khadi weaving process of the weaver families in Ponduru as below. They nurtured the thread of inner silence from the morning to the evening, from the youngest to the oldest, without a sense of burden or compulsion, from the beginning to end, cotton to yarn, with extraordinary grace and simplicity. The youngest 5-year-olds growing up with the combing of the cotton fibers on either side of the central seed with a fish jawbone and separating the seeds with rolling pins, often before they went to school. The older girls and women ginning and cleaning the cotton fibers as and when they found time from their other chores in the fields and or in the home. Their mothers picking up the ready slivers to spin when they sat out in the courtyards to chat with friends and neighbors in the forenoon and beyond. Old grandmothers and great-grandmothers, many of whom may have lost their sharp-sightedness, therefore reverted to their childhood roles of combing the fibers and rolling out seeds largely by memory. Every pair of female hands had contributed through the day to the spinning of at least one hank of yarn. Notice the gainful use of every bit of time. Notice the involvement of the whole family in the production of khadi. Notice how it means employment to everyone as well as keeping the unity in the family. Gandhi felt the strength of India was in her villages and that a village can offer the whole world a superior moral order. His idea was to revive the rural economy through rural employment. However, his wise advice of go to the villages was not heeded, and presently the opposite is happening. Most professionals, doctors, lawyers, engineers, designers included, are refusing to go there. Villages are neglected, rural economy has gone down, and there is severe unemployment. As we know, agriculture requires only 4 months of work in a year, rendering 8 months of no work and no income. Villages are deserted because rural people are going to the cities in search of work, only to end up earning pittance and living in pathetic congestion and filth. Villages are dying rapidly. Farmers' suicides are daily news we are getting numb to. Unfortunately, governmental supports are often politically motivated. A poor man has nothing but self-dignity. The government is robbing away from him even that by offering him doles and loan waivers, which are the exact opposite of self-reliance and independence, which were the main credos of freedom struggle. We should not ignore the dependence of any form, either on external bodies or on internal bodies, leads to exploitation of one form or the other. It is the root of colonization. It is indeed a short-sighted solution which not only damages the spirit but also problematic even in the most corruption-free administrative system. Instead, we should be creating conducive environment and schemes to boost the rural economy with inventive adoptions, better marketing, and proper training. The clothes we wear and the way we wear are our strong identity. They signify many things about the wearer's community, social status, religion, region, nationality, and a host of other aspects. Perhaps nowhere in human history that cotton khadi cloth played such an important role in the fight for freedom of a country as in India. With the winning of political freedom, the role of khadi as a freedom cloth was over. But its larger role of giving the poor people economic independence as well as the common national identity remained to be achieved. For Gandhi, the spinning wheel was the sacred wheel and the khadi the sacred cloth. The act of spinning is meditative because the mind is fixed while turning the wheel. Khadi process is slow and aptly a spiritual process. In today's times, where speed and greed are the paramount ruling concerns of man, such a process of meditation and compassion does not seem to fit. In the contemporary industrialized world, life and work are divorced. Members in a modern family go out in separate ways only to briefly meet later. Pleasure, unlike the khadi weaving families, is taken away from work to be provided separately like a ghetto. We search for happiness in the consumption of things, like the mullah who lost the key somewhere else but searches for it under the street lamp because it was well lit there. Gandhi believed that spinning and weaving carried out by millions of people in India will transform the moral fiber of the nation into a higher order. He considered this so important that physical and political victory that he made khadi and charkha the symbols of Swaraj or self-rule and had them formally constitute the Indian national flag. He personally always wore white khadi, which is symbolic of peace. Natural fiber without dyeing also ensured no water pollution. It was felt that wearing khadi is honoring the human being, honoring our past and reverence to a rich tradition. The well-being of an individual lies in the well-being of all. Many ills on earth are due to the ruthless exploitation and capitalism, whose dictum is profit at all costs for unlimited period. A clever man can crush 1,000 others to grab the profits selfishly. That is soullessness, the opposite of khadi, which was conceived as the soul of our nation. Modern research indicates that materialistic goals affect adversely the mental soundness of a person. But aggressive advertising, backed by power of design, is brainwashing us to believe that the way to solve any problem in life is to consume more and more and more. As a catchy slogan says, shop till you drop. Small is beautiful. It also meant slow is peaceful, less is spiritual. We must accept the constraints of khadi production, small in scale and slow in production, decentralized and rural based, handmade and localized, low investment and labor intensive. The challenge is to work innovatively within these constraints while relating to modern needs. Machine made is unfortunately seen as a competition and threat to handmade. This perception must be corrected to say that handmade is just another approach parallel to industrial production, and there is space for both. Who knows it better than the people of India, where multiple diverse cultures are coexisting since centuries, and where many centuries are coexisting simultaneously. Aesthetics is a Greek word signifying perception through the senses, in particular the tactile sense. The aesthetics of Khadi is totally different from the cold, prim and proper aesthetics of industrial production. It is more Asian way of art, perhaps, in line with wabi-sabi, kintsugi and hastakala, where the beauty of imperfection is celebrated. After all, there is no straight line in nature, and that is the charm of nature. Some of the costliest cars of the modern world command their cost due to parts having or using man-made craftsmanship. Limited editions and customization have also enhanced the price. But this value addition is not happening with respect to Khadi because there is unfair comparison and a perceived competition with the machine-made cloth. If providing great comfort is luxury, then being the soft, live, breathing cloth, Khadi, is a wonderful luxury. In the words of Asha Sarabhai, Khadi is generous material since it becomes more beautiful as it wears or is worn, unlike nylon and polyester, which are so ungiving. Cotton Khadi is excellent in absorbing a dye and thus has best color fastness compared to all other textile clothes. The health benefits of natural dyed Khadi would also give it an additional value. Apart from this, there are some other aspects which add to the value of Khadi. Khadi production is not mass production in large quantity, but limited production by the masses who are poor rural folk. The price supports a cause and mitigates the rural migration. Khadi is also slow production, which is rarity and precious, like the diamond. India is one of the very few countries where cotton Khadi is produced, and thus the uniqueness is of great value. India exports cotton called the white gold in its raw material form to factories abroad where it is machine spun and machine woven, which is the opposite of Khadi. The mills produce huge quantities, using up huge resources, but employing comparatively very few human beings, supporting few livelihoods, thereby increasing the gap between haves and have-nots further. Designed for social change, it is beyond the variety change. No populated nation with unemployed masses can advance well with the burden of them weighing on the few employed. Khadi is an attempt to give employment. There are problems of gender equality, issues of religion and class, and most importantly, there is the problem of raw material shortage as we export away most of our cotton. This is a thing for our planners to look into. As Rahul Jain writes, to promote Khadi effectively, its surviving hand processes must be combined with the culture of organic, naturally dyed fabric, with the use of environmentally sound processing and finishing. Also, we must not forget today's world demands, even of the humblest objects, high levels of physical quality. It is the responsibility of the designers and the promoters of Khadi to position it differently for a different market segment and to make consumers aware of Khadi's hidden values that lay behind the product and its cost. Khadi as a freedom cloth served its purpose. It is now time for it to serve the nation differently. Khadi is no more cheap cloth for poor people, but a cloth to uplift economy and employment of poor masses, even if only conscientious upper classes or foreigners buy it. It should be for global markets, including India. The patola of Patan, for example, is expensive but appreciated for it is a long hand process. The poor weaver families must be able to earn enough to live well without depending on the subsidies. What they need is marketing help, relaxation of export restrictions, and good supply of raw material. Recently, fashion designers started promoting Khadi as a contemporary fashion. Good. But a word of caution is necessary here because fast fashion, with all its attending ecological problems, is disastrous, unethical, and the opposite of Mahatma's principles. On the other hand, a lot can be done by the policymakers and governments too. Government, for example, can declare Khadi as national cloth to be used by all public servants, to be used in the interiors of all public buildings and in the interiors of all public transports such as government-run trains, cars and aeroplanes. Our small neighbor, Bhutan, has impressively done such a thing. Government should, instead of giving grants, provide opportunities to work which give dignity and a pride for the nation. It is appropriate to end this paper with a note by the great poet Tagore on Gandhi. Perhaps he will not succeed, the Nobel laureate wrote. Perhaps he will fail as the Buddha failed and as the Christ failed to wean men from their iniquities. But he will always be remembered as one who made his life a lesson for all ages to come. Yes, we killed him. But let Khadi be our minuscule effort not to fail him. Thank you.